Hey everyone, today I want to show you a game between a player who wrote the famous book Pawn, Power, and Chess, Hans. With the black pieces. This game took place in Semmering, 1926. Game started off d4 from Hans Mock, f5 Dutch defense from Alexander Alekhine, and queen d3. This will go into your typical anti-Dutch um, systems category. And the plan is quite primitive. Um, Besides attacking the f5 pawn right away, is also of playing e4. And for instance, normal moves like knight f6 have to be um, put on the shelf because of just simply snatching a pawn after queen takes f5. So the best way to deal with this threat is to play simply d5, which again clamps down on the e4 square even more, and the pawn is protected by the bishop. Bishop f4, and white is simply strengthening his grip on the dark squares as a result of these two pawns being placed on the light squares. So e6. So now we have a Stonewall setup. Knight f3. Knight f6. e3. And now, since black is satisfied with his grip on the square e4, now he begins to fight for the square he weakened at the beginning, which is the e5 square. Notice a small tidbit here is how black keeps his pawn on c7. And this is because black has an idea that I'm going to present to you later on, but also in case of a move like bishop takes d6, then black could capture with the c pawn here taking over the e5 square. So that's a bit of strategy just to keep in the back of your mind, because of many players when playing the Stonewall automatically play this move c6 at some point without really thinking of like why they're playing it and stuff and such. So bishop d6, bishop e2, castle from black, and now knight e5. And now here's Alekhine's idea, is c5. Now, if I were to ask you all about the Stonewall and the basic themes, many of you would mention, of course, this pawn structure of f5, e6, d5, and of course c6 with the iron grip on the e4 square. And then if we discussed it further, we would talk about black playing the move knight e4, and followed by a kingside attack with a rook f6. Sometimes king will go to h8 and rook g8 and g5, etc. Always emphasizing the kingside attacking possibilities of black in the Stonewall. Well, for those of you who do not know, there are other plans in the Stonewall that are less committal, but just as good, right, than the kingside attack. And here Alekhine shows us way back in 1926, almost 100 years ago now, can you believe that? That c5, right, with this idea of playing on the queen side is just as viable and dangerous, but not as committal. So c3 is played, and now knight c6, because black must fight for e5. Right, that knight is too aggressive on e5 and must go. So knight d2, and now queen c7, building up on e5, knight df3. Remember, I told you that once black established his grip on the light square e4, now he was going to fight for e5. And this is what happens. Knight drops back to d7, and knight d7, bishop takes d7, bishop takes, queen takes, castles, and now Alcon plays a great move here in c4. Alright, and now you can see it's highlighted these plans, right? A play b5, a5, expanding on the queen side, breaking at the b4 point. Okay, no king side attack. Queen d2. And I decided to show this game because a lot of people don't know that you can attack on the queen side in the Stonewall. They just think that it's all about, rook f6, rook g3, rook f6, rook g6, rook h6, checkmate on h2, knight to e4. There's different ways to skin a cat. b5, knight e1. And now you see this move g5. Alcon actually starts playing on both sides of the board, which is pretty ambitious here. Correct is probably just a move like rook a b8, continuing the plan here, and even at some point playing the move f4. But he plays g5, f4, and now g4. Okay, so now the king side is shut down. So what's interesting about this is that and it's a provocative move, because after f4, g4, we see that now Hans Mock has no real chances to generate any counterplay. Black is already dominating on the queen side, so where's white going to play now? If the king side is shut down, where's white execute his counterplay? So b3, rook f b8, knight c2. Let's continue on a5. Now Hans Mock plays b takes c4. This helps black, opening up the file here. And rook fb1. And now knight a7 from Alcon. And this move is very strong. It's a deep move, and basically what it's preparing is this move knight b5, d6 to e4. So this knight wants to go here. That's the ultimate destination for the knight, and there's no way to dislodge it, right, without a great effort once it gets there. So that's the idea behind knight a7. Queen e1, and you gotta watch white because he wants to creep over. Bishop a4, of course, attacking the piece. Bishop d1 protecting, and then Alcon drops back with queen e7. And I know you like that. I know you like that graphic there. That's that's a cool graphic right there. Knight to b5, d6, e4, and notice how the queen to e7 stops this okie doke right here from happening. All right. Queen d2. Now at this point, I mean, again, I just showed you what black's idea is. This is why white should play a move like e4. See, sometimes you gotta play moves like this just to create some chances. Instead, he played queen d2, which doesn't really do anything. So knight b5, it just lets black carry out the plan. Rook b2. Now here, Alakhan makes a slight inaccuracy, but basically he sees that white wants to double, so he wants to double and make sure he doesn't lose control over the file or anything. But instead of rook b7, he could have just continued along with the plan, knight d6. And so what if white doubles? Rook takes, knight e4, say queen e1, and then queen d6 here. And the reason why behind queen d6 is just to take back the file, rook b8 after that. But Alakhan's moves understandable also. Rook b7, rook a b1, and rook a b8. Bishop e2. And he plays h5. Of course, he could have played knight d6 there. g3. And h4 from Alakhan. And then finally, Mach plays e4, trying to give himself a little chance. And then powerful move by Alakhan here, knight d6. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, and queen takes b7. Queen c1 trying to guard the entry into the a file. e4 is for free. Knight e3, h, knight takes g3, king f2, check. And Mach just resigned. Devastating game, powerful game by Alakhan. I hope you enjoyed that game. And for those of you that never knew about that plan in the Stonewall, give it a shot if you like playing the Stonewall, because it's not always about that attack on the king side. And it's like that with many openings. There's different plans within the opening system. Like some players tend to focus on just, or they only know or learn about one type of plan. But the thing is, when you're kind of one-dimensional like that, players will, they play against, many players that play the Dutch from the white side. That's the plan they encounter the most. It's this plan to attack on the king side. So they prepare. This is one of the main reasons why the main Dutch lines involve a fianchetto, because fianchetto is very hard to attack with the bishop on g2. It's a good defensive position for a king, and years of practice have shown that in those type of openings that the fianchetto is a good sturdy defender against king side attacks, especially in the Dutch defense. If you look at all the famous Dutch defense games. However, there are other plans that have been developed, because grandmasters play, practice, and try out different things. And this is one of those plans with this idea of playing c5 in the Dutch and c4. Alright, so again, please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. And suggestions are welcome. If there's a particular opening or something that you want me to analyze, I have no problem doing that.